What's up, everybody, and welcome back to our Commanders Film Room, where we get together every Tuesday and review game film heading up to the Commanders team. I'm here. I'm your host, George Carney. I'm here with my co-host, Nick Akridge. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good, man. Good to be back on. Missed last week, so good
There
to
you
be
go,
back.
man. Good to have you back as well. So, Nick, today we're going to be looking at the QBs 1 through 5. According to Nick Akridge, he's going to rank them 1 through 5 and break it all down. Nick, I'm kind of curious. I know you're a film junkie. You kind of break it down. How long has this whole process been for you? Like, when did you start looking at QBs? Like, has it evolved over time? Like, what have you done? What's the whole process for evaluating a quarterback over time?
Well, considering I've only gotten to 5,
Okay, it takes a while. Okay,
yeah, it takes a while. I've gotten I get pretty thorough. I try to watch as much as I possibly can. So basically, for me, this all starts once the season ends. With PFF, we are full sprint throughout the fall and the winter. So once the Super Bowl kind of ends is when our downtime is, and that's when I can kind of spend some free time and watch these guys and make notes. And in terms of kind of like how that starts is, I usually just kind of pick someone to start with and go through. I've got this big old Google sheet of basically all their stats and stuff like that. And basically what I do is write down notes for, the play and what I would grade it. Any interesting notes, highlight it if it's something that I want to kind of dig deeper on. Basically do that for almost every throw. I try to watch 2 full games from 2022 for these guys.
okay.
And then watch the whole 2023, but pick out about 4 or 5 games that I want to watch in full. And then the rest I'm looking at positive and negatively graded throws that we have in our system, which again, I have a nice massive collection of every single thing that I can kind of pop up with PFF. So it's a little bit easier for me to kind of, get the film and watch these guys. But that's kind of my process. And when I'm done with all that, kind of jot down some notes and kind of where I would take them, what I like, what I don't like. And then this past year I've started writing articles on them. So it's kind of come full circle.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. And then what's the whole evolution? Let me ask you a question. Has there been an evolution in the whole draft prospect, right? Have you seen kind of an up and down movement with the quarterbacks that you've been watching, or has there been a steady front runner the entire time? I think I know the answer to that, but how's the rest of the process been for you?
For this year, it's been pretty steady.
Okay.
For this year, I'm pretty even with the consensus. We'll kind of get through the 1 through 5, but I'm pretty even with the consensus this year. In years past, I haven't been as that much, and my process has kind of changed over the year. The first year I started doing it, I was just simply just watching stuff and just kind of mentally noting it, and not really jotting down any notes, and kind of changed throughout the years of focusing more on traits instead of try to take the PFF grading hat off and focus more on traits instead of what I would kind of be grading these things, and try to project what they would do in the future. That's definitely something that's changed over the past couple of years.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think a lot of these prospects, especially McCarthy and May, are younger, so we don't really know what their final project is going to be. What's up, Scott? I see you in the chat. How you doing, brother? All right, guys. So today what we're going to do is we're going to rank the top 5 quarterback prospects. What we're going to do is go through them 5 through 1. We're going to go through the prospect, basically kind of showing you who the prospect is. Nick's going to give like a 1-sentence summary, kind of breaking down why he put this person in this spot. Then we're going to watch some game film and break it all down. So, Nick, let's look at number 5. So we're looking at number 5. As you see over here, Nick had QB from Oregon, Bo Nix. So before we jump in the film, why do you have Bo Nix at 5?
Yeah, if you would have told me a couple of years ago after watching Auburn, Bo Nix, that I would have him here, it would be pretty crazy. But no, like I said, I'm only through 5. So I don't see this changing much. You could have P. Nix kind of jump up at 5 as well, but I kind of see him and Nix in this sort of similar tier there. But, for Bo Nix, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. You hear a lot of like, oh, he only threw screens, only did this, only did that. But there was a lot of stuff on his tape that was kind of, showed that he's got some anticipatory throws on there. And, the arm talent might not be up there with the rest of them. Oregon's offense didn't really showcase as much. Like I said, he threw a lot of screens. Average depth of target was pretty low. And for Nix, really, the only thing that's kind of holding us back, he doesn't really have any elite traits. No elite arm talent. He's a good athlete. I wouldn't say he's obviously not a Jaden Daniels type, but that's just kind of the thing for Nix is there's no real kind of calling card for him.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that's just kind of where I landed on him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely want to see some film on him for sure, because kind of reading up, I haven't watched a lot of Bo Nix film myself, right? But I've kind of heard from him, he's kind of more of like a system quarterback, and Oregon kind of tailored their offense around his skill set. And I'm kind of curious if you agree to that, or you're going to show us that in a minute.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of clips pulled up here that kind of just go through some of his bad and good, and it's kind of mixed in. And I know obviously for most Washington fans aren't really watching Bo Nix because we're focused on a certain few guys. So I'll just kind of quickly go through this, just kind of let it play. But yeah, there was some stuff on here that I was really pleasantly surprised with when it came to Nix. So here, this is 2022 against Utah. Some middle of the field throws here that again, these type of throws are really what you're looking for when you're diving into these quarterbacks. So just kind of pre-snap. This is how I am grading these quarterbacks and looking at them. Watch the play through. If it's anything like this, see a middle of the field throw, kind of go back and understand the process and sort of see what he's looking at and go from there. So, pre-snap, you've got it. You got a sim pressure. You've got two linebackers lined up in the A gap here. So you have to be thinking constantly of where you're hot, where that pressure is going to come from, what your protection is going to look like. And here they drop out. So once he drops out, he knows that, okay, he's only got a 4-man rush. He's going to have it picked up unless someone, loses pretty badly. And with these linebackers, they're going to be bailing, and they got to bail quickly. So their back's going to be turned. So he knows that he's reading these safeties. He can see this safety. They're essentially playing like a 4-match kind of bracket coverage here, where they're just manned up. These two end up kind of bracketing this one receiver here. So for him, he sees all of that right there, and then he's just kind of reading the safety, and based on the leverage there, he knows that, okay, once these two kind of sit down on this guy right there, that he's got a one-on-one, and trust it and fire it right over the middle of the field. So
good throw.
Yeah. Again, it's not something I was really expecting from Nix. You try to stay off of Twitter and read other people's opinions, but yeah, there was a lot of really good stuff from him.
Yeah, I guess the kind of the dialogue that I'm hearing is that if he goes to a great system, if he goes to the Rams, for instance, or something like that, he could potentially thrive. He has a kind of a short West Coast offense, kind of read quickly and get rid of the ball quickly. Do you kind of see that as well, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I see him again. I don't think he's ever going to be the type of guy that's going to be, a top 15, top 10 quarterback, but I think he's the type of guy that can, I think he's got a high floor, which again, he's a pretty athletic guy. He's an accurate quarterback as well, which is always a plus, but not huge, doesn't have that huge arm. And so this is kind of a key point here that for Nix, he's got to be perfect with the way he's reading stuff and the way he anticipates, because of his lack of arm talent and the velocity he throws with, he can't afford to be late. So here he's reading this Haas concept up here to the field, and he wants to hit this little stick right here. But in college, when you're throwing from the far hash all the way over here, this ball's got to be out a second earlier. You can't afford to wait on this one. And you see he's late on it, and that arm is not enough. And it's just easy for the DB. So especially, again, you're not going to be making this long of a throw in the NFL. The hashes are tighter. So again, it's going to be from like right around, closer to the O there. But again, this sort of throw, you can't be late on. This ball's already has to be out at this point if you're going to make this. And yeah, just the ball is just a little too slow. And again, that's kind of the one thing that really sticks out from watching Bo Nix is doesn't really have the velocity there to make that sort of throw.
Interesting. Okay.
So again, 2022 is the bowl game. And this just kind of touches on his accuracy here. I really like the way he can kind of place the ball. He knows how to sort of protect his receivers. It's better from the end zone angle here. So he knows with the play action, again, these linebackers biting, all of them have their back turned. He knows he can fit this into this window. And he knows with this linebacker kind of, coming on there, he's going to throw it behind him, protect his receiver, give him a nice, easy catch. So that's definitely some of the pluses there. I really do like, his accuracy and ball placement.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to ask you, so is that a plus in the regard to accuracy, or was that behind him? Because I saw earlier there was a throw where it kind of he hit the wide receiver in the chest, but it wasn't necessarily in front of him for yards after catch. What have you noticed about that?
Yeah, it's all dependent, and you kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes of, what's the type of pressure that's in their face, what they can possibly see, stuff like that. In that case, that was, for me, I wouldn't call that inaccurate. I would assume he's doing that on purpose.
Okay.
He obviously knows, but when you've got that defender sort of bearing down from one side to kind of throw it behind him like that to allow him to protect himself is definitely a good throw.
Gotcha.
So now we're on the 2023 film. And something with Bo Nix again is I talk a lot about arm talent, and that's not just how far you can throw the ball. You can throw the ball far. It's a lot to do with velocity. And here's just one of a bunch of examples of him, with great touch down the field. This one's dropped, but a pretty easy decision once you see these two defensive backs. One of them is going to be blitzing. You're not going to have these two guys over here over one receiver. So he knows one of them is going to be blitzing. Once he sees that, he knows it's cover 1 or cover 3, basically with a single high. And with the safety all the way over to the middle of the field, he can just hit this fade here. Great ball that eventually gets dropped. But he can throw a deep ball. That's definitely for sure.
There you go. It wasn't a touch there.
Texas Tech again. So this is another kind of thing with Nix is, his turnover worthy play percentage was at the bottom. It was like 1%, which is tiny. It's definitely the best in the class, but that kind of comes a little bit from him being a little too, protective of the ball and not taking the shots that he can take. And that might be because of how he was playing at Auburn, a little reckless at times, but this is just, a play where I think he hit his check down a little too early. Again, I don't know what he's supposed to read out here, but just kind of from looking at it and seeing where his head is based on what the safeties are doing, it kind of looks like a cover 4 quarters here. And with that play action, you've got these linebackers all kind of biting down on that. So you'll have time to make this throw kind of layer over the top. You've got your offensive line picking it up. There's no reason for me to hit this check down right here. You've got a window here to throw this right now. And if you want to wait a little bit longer, he eventually kind of gets open and has this window right there as well. So for me, he just kind of likes to hit his check down a little bit too quickly. Now, this turns out great because the halfback makes a play and makes someone miss for another 20, 30 yards. But you can kind of see from the end zone view here.
Yeah, a good pocket from what it looked like from my angle. Or that one.
Yeah, it's a good pocket. It's a 4-man rush. For me, there's no reason to kind of hit this right now. You've got time. But, he might be coached to kind of get that, once he gets that top drop, if he doesn't like anything, hit the check down. But for me, I would, there's plenty of windows here opening, or plenty of openings here for him to kind of, make those sorts of plays.
What has changed for Bo Nix from his time in Auburn to his time in Oregon? Because I feel like it's been night and day from what I gather.
I don't know. Whatever he did was incredible because, again, at Auburn, it was very chaotic. Everything was just chaos. And at Oregon, he played, and this is kind of a perfect play for this. He was calmer under pressure. And one of our grades, his under pressure grade is in the 90s, and no one else is even close to that. So it just kind of speaks to the fact that he can play under pressure. He's calm under pressure. He's not afraid of getting hit. Here's a great play. Nothing's open right away with the blitz. Halfback kind of whiffs on the cut block. Don't be afraid. Just calmly step up and take what the defense gives you and take off for another 20 yards. So you'll see a lot through here of him just kind of being calm under pressure and not really worried too much about, taking a hit and instead just,
Just some mobility on that last play too. Got some legs on him, looks like.
Yeah, he's a good athlete. Give a couple more clips here of Bo Nix because, again, I know Washington fans are waiting for certain guys. But so this is another kind of thing where he's, in my opinion, being a little too safe.
Okay.
What you kind of have here is, I'll go back a little bit and draw this concept out. It's a Yankee concept where you essentially have a post here and you got a cross from here. It's a great play against cover 3 because it puts this safety in a bind where he essentially has to decide if he wants to come down on this crosser or go deep and get this post. For a lot of teams, you're reading this safety, and again, if he kind of stays flat-footed to take this crosser, then you instantly hit that post over the top because the leverage from this cornerback is just not going to give him a chance at that play. And if he kind of stays back like that, you hit the crosser. And when you pair it with play action like this, it works out really well. So we'll see a lot of the Yankee concept from a lot of these guys. It's a very popular one. So again, get your eyes up after play action. And for me, I think he's hitting this crosser a little too early. It's open, and it's definitely a good throw, and he makes an accurate throw here. But again, for me, I think he can hit this post. With the way the safety is sort of playing it, especially now, you can definitely hit that post over the top, and we'll see some other guys make that throw.
Nick, do you view him as pro ready right now? Like, I know he spent a lot of time in college, and he put a lot of, there's plenty of game film underneath him, but is he ready, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think all these guys are. I think there's a lot of talk about guys not being pro ready, and everyone will definitely benefit if they sit a couple years and learn. But I think all of these guys can kind of step in and play, especially with the more experienced guys. I mean, Bo Nix has been playing for what seems like 7 years now in college, so he's seen a lot. And in Oregon, they ran a lot of pro concepts, so it's not something that I think he would struggle with. And again, here this shows off his deep ball accuracy and throw on the run here. Just a great ball, sprinting right. They did a lot of this at Oregon where they kind of sprinted him out to the right, a lot of bootleg stuff. So he's got a good deep ball. Again, accuracy to all levels of the field.
Gotcha.
All right, now let's pull up.
Well, let's segue really quickly, right? So before we move on to our next ones, pull up over here. Our number 4 overall prospect, I think Washington fans would be interested in him, is J.J. McCarthy. So it's interesting you have a number 4, which, I think that's actually pretty common in some of the conversations. But Nick, why do you have him at 4?
Yeah, I think, he's so intriguing because, again, he's so young and still rather inexperienced. And, there's a lot of talk about Michigan not trusting him and whatnot, but a lot of that was just because they were winning easily with their run game, and they didn't really need him to do much. If you kind of look at his first half stats compared to other guys, he's got around the same amount of dropbacks as them. So, he's not throwing it nearly as much as second half because Michigan's usually up by like 20 or 30 in the Big Ten. But yeah, for McCarthy, he is I mean this with respect and disrespect at the same time. He's a perfect Shanahan quarterback. Like, he is a perfect Shanahan quarterback. The way he can play with play action and anticipation over the middle field, and we'll get to that with the film. But for me, and he's, in my opinion, a little bit more athletic, kind of Brock Purdy type. Just because, again, he's perfect for that system. But he is a really good athlete.
Before we jump on the film, so I'm just kind of curious, we're going to kind of look at like the different tiers and you're breaking it down. Why would you say J.J. McCarthy is a better prospect than Bo Nix in your opinion?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot more upside there. I think he's kind of shown consistently playing with a lot of anticipation, a lot of pro concept stuff. I think, again, he's got a better arm, higher ceiling, only 21. So there's a lot kind of still learn there. And, with these rankings, there's definitely a tier system to it as well. For me, I wouldn't take Nix in the first round. Maybe if you want to kind of take him late. But for McCarthy, I'm looking more kind of mid first to maybe even top 15, top 10. So I was, again, pleasantly surprised. That was kind of a theme with his entire quarterback classes. Pleasantly surprised with all of them. I think this class is incredible. And you can make an argument for a lot of these guys to be a quarterback one in a lot of different years. But so yeah.
Well, let me throw one thing at you real quick. Sorry to keep throwing some, make you juggle a little bit. Where did you have Penix? You had him at number 6, or what were your thoughts on that?
I haven't watched him yet,
okay.
But I feel like he's going to be sliding in with Nix, either slightly above or slightly behind.
There you go.
I think again, cool. He's very old for quarterback stuff and a lot of injury history there. So yeah, but getting back to McCarthy, again, start with 2022 stuff just to kind of see what they were working with then, and then go to 23. One thing I noticed in the few games that I did watch in 2022 is he was pretty skittish in the pocket. Would bail a lot of clean pockets and get out there early. So against Ohio State here, again, this is 2022. You see him kind of leaving this clean pocket early. Right here is when he kind of takes off. There's no reason to leave this. Again, you got a 4-man rush. It's picked up. You can simply stay in there and read things out. And you're going to have this crosser coming across the field that you can hit in stride and let him turn upfield and run. But he bails from the pocket, eventually hits it, throws it behind. Defender's able to make the tackle. So just kind of a theme from him last year. Once again, there's no reason to leave this pocket. You can stay in there. Eventually hits him behind and gets tackled. So
I think with McCarthy, he's kind of like sneaky athletic, right? I hate kind of saying that terminology, but I remember, like, I'm a Big Ten fan. I'm a Maryland guy. One of my good friends is a Michigan fan. We'd watch games together, and I believe in 22 they would actually like substitute him for certain packages and put him in for like run packages and bootlegs and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised to see him being more mobile, like you should right there.
yeah, he's definitely very athletic. I mean, surprisingly athletic. So again, 2022 against Ohio State, you got a 3-man rush here. There's no reason for him to leave this pocket again. Doesn't give anything a chance to develop. No wide receivers are out of their breaks yet. Just kind of scramble from the pocket. Eventually makes a great play, on the run to the left, and throws up a pretty decent ball for a big gain. But again, I'm looking more so at the process there. And for him, he's just kind of bailing these pockets way too early for me. This was, again, 2022. So last one, I think, from 22. Again, a little skittish in the pocket. You got a 4-man rush. There's a little stuff there, but no reason for you to kind of climb in the pocket like this and freak out and then sort of try to throw a deep ball there. But yeah, so that was 2022 stuff. And then first game from 2023, you can instantly see the improvements. This is week 1. And you can kind of see the way he works in this pocket is already drastically better than what he had last time. You've got an inside pressure here from that stunt. Instantly slide over, step up, make a good play. You don't need to kind of scramble out and bail out to the right. Just kind of work through it and keep your eyes up the whole time. You can kind of see it from the end zone here.
Yeah, this is the J.J. McCarthy play. Whenever you kind of look at game film and kind of break him down, you always see this one come up real quick. Yeah. So it's a great play.
It's a real good. It's teach tape in terms of how you want your quarterback to operate. Keep those eyes up the whole time. Keep looking, and great throw. Same thing here against East Carolina. I believe this is another one. Yeah. So East Carolina is showing a blitz from the start. So you're going to have to, work quickly, either get hot or looks you're hot, or understand where your protection's weak, buy yourself some time. And with this play, it's a pretty long developing concept for Michigan. So for McCarthy, he knows that. So you can kind of watch him work here. Take a deep drop, drift left, know that your pressure is going to be coming from the right, give your wide receivers time, and then fire a great strike down there. Again, you can see it from the end zone camera here. So as thing gets set up, again, you kind of know where your protection is. You know where they're sliding. They're going to be sliding to the right, but you've got these 3 guys lined up there. You've got the linebacker pushing right down the middle of the A gap there. So feel that pressure, buy yourself some time, keep your hips square, and fire a good ball in there.
That's actually a great catch. I got to give you credit on that. Like, you definitely see a night and day difference from 2022 to 20. At least that one game example.
And that was week 1. So that was the very first game of 2023, where you can kind of notice that. And now
he kind of drifted in the pocket, and there was pressure right on his back, and he still delivered the ball with someone in his face. So that's definitely impressive.
Yep. So this is the type of stuff. Like, if you're a J.J. McCarthy fan, these are the type of throws right here. Hard play action. Again, you see this a lot in the Shanahan system, where they're hard play action under center. Get your head up and instantly fire it over the middle of the field. And you can see he's throwing this ball here, and you can see where the wide receiver is, right as he kind of loads up. Again, these are the type of middle of the field throws that you like to look for, these tight window throws. And he's not afraid to fire it. If he gets what he thinks is coming pre-snap, he's going to fire it. He's not going to hesitate. And it's just a great throw.
How would you describe his throwing power and throwing accuracy compared to, I guess, we just talked about Bo Nix, like a night and day, right? Is he can make all the throws in your opinion?
He's a fastball thrower. Okay. One of my things with McCarthy is I think he throws everything at 100 miles per hour, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I would like a little more touch on the deep ball. He throws everything with 100 miles per hour. So his arm talent is not really a question. Again, you can kind of see in this tight window there that you're going to need a strong arm to make those throws. More pocket stuff here. Again, this is week 2, I think. Yeah, week 2. Play action, quick pressure. But again, he's not bailing. Simply sliding, stepping up, keeping your hips square. Keep reading it out and find your wide receiver. So
and what I like about that, Nick, is there was some, you'll see on this end of the angle right here, there was room to run for maybe 5 yards if he wanted to take it, but he kept his eyes downfield and took a shot anyway. So it was a good play.
Yeah. Again, this sort of stuff right here is teach tape. You don't need to put your eyes down. Just simply slide. keep your hips square, find your target, hit him in stride, and it turns out to be a touchdown. So instead of, scrambling for maybe 5 or 6 yards, you get a touchdown out of it.
Yeah, he actually led the wide receiver as well. Roman Wilson. I love Roman Wilson. He's a great prospect.
Yeah. All right. So again, heavy play action, under center. You're going to see this a lot from McCarthy. Sorry, not under center, but pistol here. Same sort of stuff. A 2-man route, basically. If you're reading this out for him, we see 2 high or 1 high, basically, from the start. You see it rotate to 2. They're playing a Tampa 2, essentially, which this whole defender is going to bail out and run the poles, what they call it. So, he's going to take this seam route here. They're running a dagger concept where this wide receiver runs up the seam to basically kind of clear it out, and he's going to run a dig right there. So this just kind of, again, shows middle of the field sort of throws where with this guy, this Tampa defender bailing out like that you're going to have this open throw. Hit the top of the drop and fire it.
Yeah, rip that.
All right, so this is the kind of stuff where I was talking about earlier with, he's kind of only a fastball type of thrower, and this is me being nitpicky, basically. You got a flea flicker here. For me, I would like this to, again, put a little more air on the ball, lead the receiver. Instead, it's kind of a fastball that he gets pretty lucky with. Turns into a touchdown, but, if you lead this ball a little bit more and you've got a nice, easy catch instead of all that.
Very lucky there.
That's just me being a little nitpicky. All right, more pocket stuff here. Show the end zone camera first. All right, so I don't even. This is Rutgers. So running a stunt here with the linebacker. Understand where your pressure is coming from. Slight drift in the pocket. Create your throwing lane, and fire an accurate ball. Again, 2022, this was not what he was doing, and just kind of instantly flipped it. So again, when you kind of look at these guys who are younger, 21, you want to see this sort of improvement year in and year out, and you kind of picture it. If he was Jane Daniels' age or Bo Nix or Michael Penix's age, what can he possibly be at that point with more experience and more reps? So that's the kind of thing that you kind of have to look for with these guys is you got to bet on the traits. You have to bet on the traits that they have and what they've shown, and kind of go from there.
So Nick, before we kind of transition, I don't know if you have more JJ McCarthy film, we're going to go to the next guy. But I guess looking at him, are there any holes in his game that you're kind of concerned about, that you're worried about long term?
Yeah, I think I have some in here for sure.
Okay.
Again, this was just kind of chronological order for me. I think when when things get muddy, here's one. When he doesn't get what he wants pre-snap, I think he kind of freezes a little bit, and at times is a bit slow to come off of what he thinks is going to be open. So this is Nebraska here. They show 2 high, then rotate to cover 3 here. He's locked in on this kind of hitch and go down here at the bottom of the screen. Once the DB doesn't really bite on it, instead of kind of moving off of that and flipping your head to the field concept, you can kind of see him still sort of locked in over here. And he just kind of gets locked in there, and he waits forever. Finally flips. You can fire this seam route here against cover 3. That's open. Still kind of panics. He's still open. Leaves that pocket, back to kind of some bad habits there. And then eventually throws it way too late. And I think it's called.
You must say card anyway. That's interesting. But you're right, though. If he threw that a second earlier, 2 seconds in real time earlier, that guy was wide open, but he basically stalled, and because he hesitated, it was a much harder throw than it needed to be.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure what he's coached to do here. Maybe this sort of play is always supposed to go to the pitch and go down here. But for me, again, once you kind of see that rotation to cover 3, I would be flipping it towards the seam because you've got 4 verts here. So this safety's screwed. He's going to go here. He's going here. He's going here. So this safety's screwed. So if you flip your head to the field, you're going to have someone open, and he's wide open. So
Nick, I got a comment for you.
One of the things for McCarthy for me is I think, again, when he gets what he wants and it works and it's open, he's going to fire it in there. It's going to be accurate. It's going to be on time. But for me, it's when that look kind of gets muddy a bit, is when he starts to panic a bit and go back to some of the bad habits. There's your guy, Roman Wilson, again with a great catch.
Nick, I got a comment for you. Friend of the show, co-host of the show, Mr. Mark Bullock says, QB2, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that?
Put him on blast for that one.
Exactly.
Again, I can see it. I absolutely understand why some people are very high on him. Mark knows a lot about the Shanahan system, so that's probably why could be pretty high on him, because, again, he's a perfect Shanahan quarterback. That is, again, both an insult and a compliment. But
why is it an insult, Nick? I mean,
because we see a lot with these Shanahan quarterbacks it's I say easy, but it's the easiest system basically for a quarterback to play, and it's so quarterback friendly. And it's why we've kind of seen Brock Purdy have these great years. There's still a lot to be desired from Purdy and whatnot, but again, I think we see it a lot, and we see it the same sort of thing with Tua. I mean, again, he's going to have some incredible stats because everything's kind of easy for him. Again, easy. I don't want the Tua fans to come, but Tua plays with great anticipation, so he's a great kind of quarterback for that system. And again, McCarthy plays with that same sort of anticipation off of heavy play action stuff. So when he gets what he wants, he's going to fire it in there, and it's going to usually be accurate. Let me go to one more bad play.
All right.
If I can eventually find it. Yeah. So here we go. This play, again, I'm not really sure why they're calling mesh here against a too high look, and it's not really what you want to do here, but they rotate to, I'm not really sure what this coverage is. You could call it a cover 3 with the way these safeties kind of rotate down. But again, locked in on this number 1 receiver over here, and he's not really even running a route, really. So kind of a weird play, but again, things kind of get muddy. You should kind of move off of this right away, work that mesh concept, because you've got the sit route open, you've got the crosser open, he's going to sit down, and you've got your check down. But for McCarthy, he kind of is still locked in on it, eventually kind of panics again from a clean pocket, again, eventually finds him. So good result, I would say bad process, and that's kind of what you're really looking for. Again, once this is kind of not open, you should know with that cover 3 rotation that's probably not going to be open, because the DB is always going to be playing over the top. So work back to the middle of the field and read out the mesh concept, which is open. Multiple guys are open. So eventually finds them. Good result.
Nick, do you think the hype right now is justified, or do you think it's kind of a media construct? And what are your thoughts on all that right now?
At first, I thought it was crazy. I thought, again, that was just kind of looking at some of the stats and numbers and whatnot. But then when I dove in, I absolutely understand why. Like, there's a lot there that you can really like. There's a lot of high level pro ready throws for him. And again, he's only 21. So you have to kind of project that out to be where he's going to be after 3 more years of experience, what he's going to learn and whatnot. And there's a lot to like there. He's got a good arm. He's a very good athlete. Michigan used him in the run game all the time. So there is a lot to like there. For me, I don't know. It's tough to kind of get on board with all of that yet, but I don't think he offers the same sort of upside as we'll get to the other guys. But again, I would be okay with it at 2, which I know is kind of surprising to some people. Would not be my top choice at 2, but I would be okay with it, and I would understand why, essentially.
Gotcha. Ready to transition to the next one?
Yep.
Let's do it. So going on to our next prospect, we had Bo Nix at number 5, JJ McCarthy at number 4. Moving on to fan favorite, Jaden Daniels at number 3. So before we dive into him, give us a little 1-sentence summary. What do you got for him right now?
Yeah, this is the one that everyone debates. Is Jaden Daniels basically is, for him, he's, in terms of body type and everything like that, he's an outlier. He's a true outlier there, but it's a good and bad sort of outlier. Like, what he does running the ball is unbelievable. You just wonder if that frame can kind of hold up. And in terms of passing, he's really an advanced passer. At LSU, he improved miraculously over the past couple of years, from where he was at Arizona State, and even more so this past year. Yeah, so for Daniels, it's a lot of, again, the next question is sort of thing like he's older. He's on the older side. He's had 4 or 5 years in college now. So what more could you possibly kind of get out of him? So that's kind of the question there. But again, I'm happy with Daniel. Again, Daniels at 2 would be fine with me. Like, you are dealing with a very, very good quarterback class. And we'll kind of break down what he does.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see what you're going to say with the 2022 film, because I watched 6 games of the 2023 film. And to be honest with you, I think his passing is, if you are a proponent of Jaden Daniels, you know what he is as a passer. But if you're like a detractor from him, you criticize him for not throwing out of the pocket, which I think he can do. I think he actually is a better passer than people give him credit for. So I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah, he is. And there's a lot to love on the film. There's some stuff that you can obviously nitpick and critique and people have, but there's a lot to love on the film. And when I first kind of, watched it, I was really, really pleasantly surprised. I thought he was more so just an athlete and a deep ball throw, but there's a lot of stuff that you can like. We'll get into why I don't like him as much as certain few, but this is from the first game of 23. I don't have any 22 clips,
okay,
but this is all from 2023. And again, it's going to be similar to the last couple of guys. It's just going to be a mix of good and bad. I'm not as prepared as Mark, who's got it all laid out.
In sequence, sequentially.
So yeah, against Florida State, first game of the season. This is kind of shows his work in the pocket here. Again, you can sense the pressure, keep your eyes downfield, work out the concept, and hit that crosser. Again, better from the end zone cam here. Play action. You can feel this immediate pressure here from that D tackle on the guard. Just slide. No need to bail. Just simply drift. Give yourself some time. Great ball. Moving away from the target.
And what's funny, Nick, I'm sure you saw this as well. He got better as the season went on. I thought the Florida State game, he kind of was up and down, and they got better as the season went along.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good. Obviously, there's a lot of really good there because he's on Heisman and all whatnot. But there's a lot of pro throws in here. There's a lot of high level processing stuff as well. So this one's against a Grambling State. Ignore the competition here. I just wanted to talk about this throw because of the kind of unique coverage they throw at him and how he reads this out. So at the beginning, you see a too high look. So you're thinking, cover 2, cover 4, cover 6, any of those sort of looks. But what they do is post snap, they rotate to a 3 cloud, which is essentially, instead of this guy bailing to a deep third, this safety comes over the top and plays that deep third. He sits in the flat. He's going to rotate towards middle of the field, and he's going to do that. So they kind of rotate the whole thing over, and it turns into a cover 3. So you can kind of watch him read that out. He's reading this safety, reads that out. He sees I'll play it through, but he sees all 3 of these guys kind of rotate over. So he knows this field concept isn't going to be open. Against cover 3, it turns into a post wheel, and that's not going to be open. So you can see him quickly flip his head back to the other side of the field and make a good throw. You just know that basically with the whole defense flowing this way, even the underneath guys, that this dig route's going to be open. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see him just quickly flip his head and make the throw.
And you have to be decisive there. A second later, that wouldn't be a good throw, right? Yeah, take it and pull it. Yeah, right there. Great play.
Yep. Reading the safeties out, flip your head, make a good throw that's dropped. But all right, another middle of the field throw here. Again, there's a lot of talk about middle of the field stuff, but he has a decent amount on tape. We'll get to some of the reasons why some people talk about the middle of the field stuff, but there are some on tape. There's a lot of anticipation throws, and this is one of them. Arkansas's got a 3 safeties here, so you're going to get some sort of weird. Either a 3, I just talked about 3 cloud, but there's 3 double cloud where he's going to stay in the flat. He plays over top, flat, gets over. Or you're going to be looking for some sort of Tampa 2, which we talked about, where he kind of steps up and these guys are playing deep. So that's what you're kind of looking at here. I believe they run a dagger concept. Yeah. So dagger concept here, talked about it already. He's going deep to clear it out, and he's coming through here. So just read this out. Go through it, starts to the left, reads this out, knows what he wants, and then fires in there with good anticipation.
What I like about him as well, he goes high-low in regard to, like, you're supposed to do that as a true quarterback as well, but he had the underneath shot, but he took the bigger shot because he anticipated him getting open. So
yep,
good.
Just got to read it out. Trust what you see. The Ole Miss game, there are some throws on here that if you are a Jaden Daniels fan, you're going to be pointing to this tape because there's some throws on here that show the high-level anticipation that I would like to see consistently. He does that here against Ole Miss. There's some really high-level stuff here. Again, so pre-snap, you're seeing single high, so you're thinking cover 3. That's exactly what you get. And we talked about the Yankee concept before with Bo Nix, but what you're going to have here is that deep post, that cross. He runs like a shallow cross to kind of drag these guys up. Again, and you're reading this middle of the field safety. So once he drops down on that crosser, you fire that post. And unlike Nix before, he's going to hit that post. So he's reading this out. Once this safety, again, you can see right here, he starts to sort of flatten out and take this crosser. He's going to target the post. Does that exactly. That was a perfect ball. That ends up being dropped.
And that's supposedly a strength of his. He's probably one of the better deep passers in the draft class.
Yep. We've got him with the highest deep passing grade of any of these guys. It's why I kind of comp him a lot to RG3. I know some people might not want to hear that, but a great athlete, great runner who's got a fantastic deep ball. That was RG3 basically. I would say he doesn't have the same level of arm talent as RG3, but there is still lots to like from the deep ball sort of stuff.
And arm talent in regard to like throwing power and the touch or whatever. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, velocity more so.
Okay.
I think there's some clips in here where I would like, again, a little more velocity, but that's not something you can really teach. But again, Ole Miss, this is the tape you're going to be looking at if you're a Jaden Daniels fan. Like this sort of stuff here is high level stuff. You see the concept. All right, so we got cover 4 basically is what they're running here with these safeties so deep. I don't know why they're bailing so much. Could be into the half situation, but he sees with these guys bailing so much that he's going to have this dig right here in this window, and you can already see him load up for it with this guy's not even out of his break. These are the type of anticipation middle of the field throws that you want to see. Hits it right on target. You cannot be late or early on this throw. It's got to be at a perfect time. You can see when he triggers. Again, this guy is not clear of that defender yet. Throws it right in the hole. Perfect.
Great throw.
I believe, yep. All right, so this is the throw. This is my favorite play of Jaden Daniels this past year, and it wasn't an 80-yard run or anything like that. This is the sort of stuff that makes me a bit higher on Daniels than some others that have people ahead of him, basically, is I've seen enough on tape that he can do it. He can play with this sort of anticipation. It wasn't as consistent enough as I liked it, but I've seen that he can do it. And in years past, I've kind of, again, not really projected that out instead of seeing like, oh, he doesn't do it all the time. It was one reason why I was a little lower on Stroud last year is he didn't play with as much anticipation, but he was able to still do it. And it's why it kind of translated so well for him this past year. So that's something you can point to. This sort of play, you get a busted protection here. But if we're reading this out pre-snap, you see the 2 high safeties, but you kind of notice this difference in depth here. So you're pretty sure that they're going to rotate to single high. And that's what they do. They rotate to single high. So you see cover 3. I believe this is a post wheel sort of concept. So he's going to be running a post. He's running a wheel behind him. It's great against cover 3 because this DB is going to have to carry with that post or with the wheel. So no one's going to be there for the post. And again, just trust what you see because the guard gets messed up here on the stun exchange. He's got no time to kind of read this out. He's just got to trust what he sees. Fires that with perfect anticipation. Like you cannot teach this. Like this is perfect. You've got this guy bearing down on you. You don't have time to read this out. You got to trust your pre-snap, post-snap reads and just fire it. And that's exactly what he does and gets killed. So that's the throw right there that you're going to point to if you're a Daniels fan. This is another Yankee concept here against cover 3. Again, This is the stuff you want to see with this safety sort of flat-footed and taking that crosser. You want to hit that post over the top. And again, he does that perfectly. He's going to take that post every single time. This one's caught. Perfect throw.
Great throw.
Next thing, if you're a Daniels fan, you're going to point to the Auburn game in terms of pre-snap stuff. I won't play all of them, but basically against Auburn, Mark kind of talked about these when we went through the Daniels film. But there was a lot of stuff he did pre-snap in terms of setting protections, pointing out blitzes. This one's kind of a perfect example. When you see these two DBs stacked on top of each other, you're assuming one of them's going to blitz. You assume this guy's going to blitz. So he points that out. I believe you can see it. Yeah, points that out right there. Gets the halfback to know that he's got to pick that up. Halfback picks it up, gives him time to read this out. And perfect, full progression read right on time. You could say he could hit this first crosser, but with 35 there, I kind of like how he moves to the next one, knowing that window's going to be open.
And I guess that's one thing for Daniels as well that I kind of notice. He does, when he is intent on passing the ball, he does have poise in the pocket. Sometimes he'll take off and he'll run. He'll kind of, either he will run and scramble if he needs to, but I feel like when he wants to deliver the pass, he'll sit there. He's not necessarily skittish in the pocket, in my opinion. I don't know if you feel
and that's kind of my sticking point is why I kind of always come back to why I would be okay with them taking him at 2, because I've seen it enough times where I can believe that he can do it. Again, I would like it a little more consistent, and we'll get to some of those throws here eventually, but he's shown that he can do it. He's shown that he's smart enough to understand these protections. He's setting the tight end on the running back here, knows this blitz is coming, picks it up perfectly, eventually gets through his reads and fires a good ball.
Great ball.
All right, we'll get through. Again, Auburn they just decided to try to blitz him to death, and it didn't work at all because he picked it up every single time. So here's another blitz from Auburn. Didn't work. Fires a seam ball. All right, we'll get to, I swear there is some bad from the film here. All right, so this is the sort of stuff that I was talking about with the velocity. It's just a little bit less than what I would like to see. They're playing Army here in the middle of November. It's a weird SEC schedule, but too high look. They kind of change that to a cover 3 post snap. He steps up with this. I believe he's blitzing. And you've got the concept that you want. You've got essentially a 4 verts. There's a lot of kind of different releases there. But this is a sort of throw where you want a little bit more velocity to save your wide receiver from getting killed like this when he makes that catch. We'll show it from the back end. I think it's better. He hits it right there at the same time. Again, it's a very good throw. It's an accurate throw. But one thing I've kind of noticed with Daniels is he falls off his throw a little bit. What I mean is you'll see it kind of here. Where right when he delivers it, he kind of throws, he falls backwards a little bit, falls off a little bit, which kind of puts less velocity on the throw. Again, he throws this with great anticipation, but if he steps into this instead of falling off of it, you're going to hit that wide receiver just a second earlier, which gives him a little bit more time to control before he's hit. Again, this is nitpicking. I know I'm nitpicking here, but it's just that little touch of velocity that I would like to have just a little bit more.
I get it. Because in theory, he's driving through his front foot. He's kind of pushing that velocity to the ball.
He falls off a little bit too much. It's kind of one thing that I've noticed. There's another example here in Alabama where he does that same thing. Yeah. All right. So Alabama's always tricky. Their coverages are ridiculously tricky to kind of figure out. So they rotate essentially to a cover 3 here. It's a weird rotation, but you can read this out, and you know with this crosser here, he's going to drag that guy up, so you can hit this middle of the field throw. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen him do it. I just showed a bunch of clips of him hitting that throw. He doesn't want it, and for whatever reason, again, falls off. Watch him here again. He'll fall off of this throw and deliver an inaccurate ball because of it. Sort of backs off of it a little bit. Throws an inaccurate ball that could probably be picked. It's just one of those things that, you want him to be a little bit better at just following through his throws. No need to kind of back off like that.
It's funny because that's a criticism of May. You hear that a lot with May on the shorter underneath layup throws who want to have proper footing and throw an inaccurate pass. And you see it right there with Daniels.
Yeah. There's a lot to fix for both of these guys. I mean, they're still prospects. I mean, This is just a sack here. Again, for Daniels, you would like to, it's cover one. Just trust somebody to win. You've got some options here. You can either hit this deep post if you really kind of trust yourself, and based on how the safety's playing, he's going to take that. That's a tougher throw. I don't blame him for not taking that. Then you go lower. This crosser's one, so you can hit that, or just hit your check down, or bail and scramble. But instead, he kind of freaks out, and you'll see from the end zone here. You can see him drop his eyes, which is a no-no. You can see him right here sort of drop his eyes, look for some sort of scrambling lane, and then get killed.
And what's funny, Nick, breaking down the film, that was the complete opposite of JJ McCarthy, right? JJ McCarthy's eyes were all the way downfield and was consistently looking to pass, which was, I guess he's coach up that way.
Yeah. All right. More bad from Daniels here. The Florida game. This is the kind of stuff that, again, if you're a Daniels fan, you're going to point to and see, it doesn't matter if he misses a read because he can go scramble for 60 yards and a touchdown. This is that play. So you've got two crossers here from the field. You've got exactly what you want. Both of them win instantly. So you can hit either of them. There's no reason not to throw to number 2. There's no reason not to throw to number 8. For whatever reason, he doesn't. Backs up in the pocket, eyes down, finds a scrambling lane, and then turns it into a 50-yard touchdown. So again, fantastic, or not a touchdown, but a fantastic result here. Not a great process, because especially from the end zone camera here, you're not going to get more open than either of the. I mean, his DB's not even in the frame yet. Mm-hmm. You got to throw those in the NFL.
Yeah, Neighbors is like, throw to me.
Yeah, you got to throw those in the NFL. I don't see this sort of stuff happening as often in the NFL, where no one really touches him for 40 yards. Much better job of protecting yourself there.
If you're a Jaden Daniels fan, the Florida game is what you want to put on and watch, because it's just like that's what he won the Heisman off that game, in my opinion. It was a show.
Yeah,
again, 600 total yards.
Strictly running. I mean, it was
a lot of running.
All right, last one I have here of some bad Daniels before we move on. But this is another sort of one where I want him to trust himself more. Trust what you're reading pre and post snap, and just throw it. So little play action here, post snap. They're playing man essentially on this side. They're manned up. But if we go back to pre snap, look at the leverage here, basically from this corner. You see where this wide receiver is lined up. See where he's lined up. It's playing outside leverage. So usually, if you're having any sort of outbreaking route, that's not going to be open, just based on what they're showing pre-snap, and they kind of stay that way. So they run a sail concept here, where this wide receiver's clearing out and he's going to run a corner. But against outside leverage, it doesn't really work. So for me, I want him to kind of understand that, quickly flip his head to the backside dig that's wide open. It's so wide open that it didn't matter that he was late. But again, we're nitpicking here, but in the NFL, no one's ever going to really be that wide open. So again, we just kind of want him to flip his head earlier, trust what he's reading. He knows with that sort of outside leverage that this corner route's not going to be open. So flip your head and throw it. It's a little slow, but gets the job done.
So a quick recap with Jaden Daniels. I guess the biggest deterrent for him would be like just kind of refining his progressions, I guess, or what do you think about footwork?
Yeah, just trusting himself. I mean, I think he's shown time and time again that he knows what defenses are throwing at him, what the offense presents against certain coverages, and just kind of firing it with more anticipation. I think that's kind of the big thing, and that is what kind of led to some of the high sack numbers that we kind of hear about. From 2022 to 23, it was a drastic drop off, and you kind of hope that he can continue to have that sort of downward trajectory with the amount of sacks he takes. But if you're looking at career pressure to sack ratio, it's astronomically high, like historically high. So again, that's something that you can point to as someone who's not a Daniels fan and point to, this is not great. And it's why, a lot of people have kind of comped into skinny Justin Fields, which I can kind of see. He takes a lot of sacks just because he doesn't really anticipate things as much as he can. I mean, we just saw plenty of clips of him playing with great anticipation over the middle of the field. So for me, I just want him to trust himself a little bit more and throw with that anticipation.
Let's do it. Let's keep it moving. Now, for time's sake, heading over to number 2. This is definitely a Definitely on the radar for the Commanders, as we know, UNC quarterback Drake May. So quick one-sentence summary on him before we dive into the film.
Yeah, Justin Herbert reincarnated, basically. No, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of comps, but it's tough to watch him throw the ball and watch what he does and not sort of see that comp. For May, it's the arm talent, just the natural arm talent that he has. Again, a fantastic athlete that not a lot of people talk about. We talk a lot about these kind of dual threat runners, and no one really mentions him, but he did it a ton, and he's very, very good at it. For him, the sort of shortcomings that people mention is, the accuracy, the short accuracy can be rough at times, can be very rough. But again, it kind of comes from a little bit of poor footwork that I think is coachable. He's the type of prospect that, 2 or 3 years ago, I would probably be down on just because based on what I'm seeing right now in terms of what his footwork is, and not kind of trusting that, someone can fix that and sort of banking on the high end traits that he has. And yeah, they're up there with some of the best.
Interesting. All right, so let's dive into the film real quick.
I think these first couple plays are, So another thing with Drake May that I don't think a lot of people talk about when they talk about some of his problems, they always talk about the accuracy and the footwork and all that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of bad, like chaotic plays, a little bit too much. And it's why I'm not, putting him at QB1. I kind of like, I like the Justin Herbert comp, but I kind of pair it with the Josh Allen mindset of I can do absolutely anything possible with the football. Sometimes it works out great, sometimes it doesn't. And these clips right here are just kind of some of that. You got a 3-man rush in the red zone. I believe it's third down. Just throw this ball away.
Yeah, I saw that live.
There's no reason to throw this. It's just bad chaos. And there's just a little bit too much of that on the film. That was
that's Nate Wiggins too. I think the Clemson cornerback.
Yeah, that was from 2022. Great job to make all these people miss, but just throw the ball away and kick a field goal or go for it on fourth. But another play here where it's just kind of bad chaos. You've got that pressure. You're getting sacked already. There's no reason to chuck this up. Just live to fight another down. And it's tough to kind of coach that mindset out. We've seen it with Josh Allen that he's able to kind of slow it down a little bit, but there's still some crazy Josh Allen plays. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So just kind of, refining that a little bit.
So I watched the Miami game. They just blitzed the hell out of him all game long. His offensive line is not great, and they were definitely getting a lot of pressure.
No, it is not great at all. Again, a little bit more bad chaos here. Just trying to do too much. And you can kind of, with Drake May and QB1, which is Caleb Williams, spoiler alert there, they had to do a lot on their own. They're not playing with some of the great talent, and especially with USC's offense, it was rough. But that's the kind of stuff that they had to do basically, and that was it's tough to kind of put it all on that and say that's exactly what he's going to be in the NFL, because again, he had to do all that sort of stuff in college. I think that's it for the bad chaos there. No. So I wanted to talk about this one. This is very similar to the kind of James Daniels stuff that I just talked about, where this is sort of a play where it's a good result, bad process. With this kind of cover 3 here, you can hit this seam route. I talked about this when we did the Drake May film breakdown. But he can hit that seam route. We've seen him. We'll see him do it time and time again. But again, if you don't give him enough credit for him being an athlete, easy, quick 20-yard scramble for a touchdown there. So just kind of wanted to highlight that it's not all fantastic there in terms of processing. Now, this is the play right here. If you're a Drake May fan, this is the play you're going to point to. This is the sort of stuff where I see people kind of, talk about how he's inexperienced and he can't start right away, but he's a redshirt sophomore here and he's handling protections and understanding where blitzes are coming from. And this sort of play right here is Drake May summed up perfectly. We'll play it out real quickly, but he's changing the play at the line, changing the protection because he knows this blitz is coming over here. Again, with this guy kind of in no man's land, not really sure what he's doing. He's expecting him to blitz because he's not covering anyone. You could say he's maybe covering the line or the running back, but this linebacker's got him. So he's going to blitz. So for him, he's changing the play to a sprint out. So basically what they're all going to do is sprint out this way. So this guy's got really no chance of making the play. Whole line is going to work this way. So he changes the play, changes the protections, and then you can see the arm talent at the end. So this is kind of the Drake May thing that when I kind of point to people that think he can't play right away, like this sort of stuff is all over the tape where he's playing with high level IQ, high level processing plays where he knows exactly what's coming. So he gets that play call, sprint out right, rolling left, throws an accurate ball with plenty of velocity on it. That's the Drake May game right there. I mean, it's as a redshirt sophomore to be kind of trusted with this sort of thing, to know what's coming, change the play, change the protection, all that sort of stuff. And then to roll left and fire a laser like
all arm strength. I think it's jumping off the ground when he threw the ball. If I remember. It's off 1 foot. Has a zip on the ball.
That's what you're looking for when it comes to Drake May. I think some of these clips have some of my drawings on them. Because again, I use the same sort of ones. Yeah. So again, this is the middle of the field stuff that we talked about a lot with Drake May, and again, he's got the highest grade that we've given him on middle of the field throws out of anyone in this class. And it's a great sort of stat that really translates. So pre-snap here, we're looking at, you've got these guys kind of lined up a little bit, but again, we've talked about it before, when these guys two guys are lined up over top of each other, you're pretty sure one of them's coming. This time the guy from farther back is coming. So that tells him that with this guy bailing, he's got a chance to make this sort of seam throw. And he doesn't hesitate and fires it in there.
It's a good read.
He's bailing. He's got no shot. Hit the seam, and it's dropped. So, but again, trust what you see. Read it out, and it's an effortless kind of motion too. Like, it doesn't look like he should generate that much velocity on it, but he does, and it works out well. Another one here. Tight window, middle of the field throws. We saw this a lot with McCarthy, but that was a lot of play action under center stuff where you got linebackers biting. This one is just read it out and zip it in there. And this is, again, you put it on the Drake May stuff. This is the stuff you're going to point to that translates right away. This sort of high level stuff here where he's kind of looking off these linebackers and firing in there with absolutely no room for error. This sort of stuff is all over the film, and it's what gets you so excited for someone who, again, is 21. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. And you think about where he's going to be with, the amount of dropbacks that some of the other guys have had. It's tough not to get excited about that.
Absolutely. And I agree. I think throwing over the middle of the field is kind of the bread and butter in this modern day NFL. So I think it's definitely, there's some transferable traits to see at the pro level.
Yeah. We'll get to some more. Here's another one. Drew this whole thing out for you guys. But basically what Pitt does is they run a lot of cover 4. They basically just live out of cover 4 where these safeties are essentially playing man on these slot receivers here. But this time they switch it up and they run a fire zone, which is a cover 3 when you have this sort of DB here blitzing, and you've got a lot of rotation going on. So I just like to see his process here of, he sees these guys blitzing. Screw the fake. There's another word for that, but screw the fake. Trust your reads. Know that with this safety coming from the other side of the field, he's got no shot at making this play. So the second this corner sits down here, you fire the seam ball in there.
I mean, that's a shot. I mean, it looks effortless. It's a good 30, 40 yards, I think, right? It was pretty.
Just look at the way the offensive line picks this up. It's not great. They're sliding the wrong way, but 81 completely whiffs here. So he's got someone right in his face and just fired in there. Just trust what you see. Similar to the Daniels throw we saw against Ole Miss, where you just got to trust it. Another play here that, again, people are going to maybe talk about his accuracy, but I think this one's on purpose. Pre-snap, we're looking at cover 3 here. Kind of looks that same way, but it turns into essentially an inverted Tampa 2, where these guys are going to be your deep halves, and he's going to kind of sit here in this hole. And basically, once you kind of see this DB number 4 here kind of start to open towards, it's right in the middle of the field. So this sort of the left side of the field, he's going to read that and instantly, again, trust his read. Knows with 4 opening up that way, he's going to have this guy wide open behind him. And because of that, he throws it behind him, I think on purpose, because of where that Tampa defender is, throws it somewhat behind him to kind of give him a chance to protect himself, and drops it. More good here, middle of the field again. So reading this out post snap, you can kind of see them rotating. They rotate again to a Tampa 2 here with 26 as that Tampa defender bailing out. Again, it's a dagger concept that we talked about before. He's going to run there. He's coming through here. So once that Tampa defender takes this seam, trust it and rip it instantly right behind him to get that hole.
So Nick, I think his deep arm strength is not in question. What do you know, or what have you noticed about his deep accuracy? Is he pretty accurate deep down the field? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He's right behind Jaden Daniels in terms of that.
Okay.
There's no question there with his deep accuracy. It's weirdly almost more accurate than his short accuracy. So
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
That one's not a concern. I've got a 2-minute and 30 thing that I did not include in this of him just hitting deep balls.
Okay.
So it's definitely not a concern. This is again one of my other favorite plays we talked about a lot with navigating pockets, and that's a huge thing in the NFL, and understanding where your pressure is coming from, where you're weak, and giving yourself more time to throw. So again, when we talk about how people think Drake Maye just kind of drifts aimlessly in pockets and isn't really ready to play, I don't really understand that. This is kind of a perfect example of that. They're scrambling here. You've got 3 guys over here essentially covering the running back and wide receivers. One is coming. Again, we talked about that before. With the line sliding to the right, you're going to be a bit weak here. Just drifts a little bit to the right, gives himself enough time here, and then fires that seam. I mean, it's perfect, basically. So again, end zone camera here. That quick little look to the left that he gives here, sees him coming, so he knows that. Quick little drift. Trust what you're seeing. Fire the seam, get hit.
Great throw. It's an awesome throw. I think when we did our Drake Maye breakdown initially, you put me on that he can make every throw in the league. He just has that. He has a cannon on his arm. Like, he has the velocity. He throws the ball wherever he wants.
And this is another one where, again, feel the pressure, navigate the pocket, step up, keep your head up, reset, and again, fire another perfect ball. It's all over the tape. I think that there's been a lot of talk about him not being pro ready, but there's some stuff that he does. This is another one. This is one of my favorite plays here against NC State, where he's got 2 free rushers in his face. Doesn't care, gives himself enough time, and fires a nice accurate ball on 3rd down for a first. You're staring right down 2 defenders. Drift just a little bit to give yourself a throwing lane. Take the hit, but fire an accurate ball for a first
zipping
down.
It in there.
From the end zone. 2 guys, just enough drift. And the arm talent's going to save you even if you're midair. His arm talent's enough to make that sort of throw.
That's a great point.
Last one. Again, NC State was I talked about Jaden Daniels. If you want to look at the Ole Miss tape, that's the one you want to look at. If you're Drake Maye, you want to look at the NC State film. You got a corner blitz here. Gives it a little quick peek. Knows what's coming. Knows he's going to get hit. Steps up into the pocket and trusts his read, even in this ridiculously tight throwing lane, to hit that. And you don't see that from a 21-year-old redshirt sophomore. That quick little glance to the left, sees the cornerback blitz, knows he's not going to have that picked up, doesn't care, throws a perfect ball anyway.
Great throw.
And that's all I got for Drake Maye.
All right, let's bring it on home. I think it isn't really a surprise for our last prospect. We'll look at it for a couple minutes and start bringing it on home. Our last prospect, number 1, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of rare that basically a quarterback prospect from start to finish ends at number 1, but it seems like that's the common narrative for Caleb Williams. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just probably the most talented quarterback I've seen in so long. People talked about it all the time, like he's up there with the Trevor Lawrences, the Andrew Lucks, and all that stuff. The sheer arm talent that he has is unbelievable. The playmaking ability he has is unbelievable. There are questions, obviously, of if he can play within structure. Mm-hmm. And I think he showed enough when he did have time that he can play within structure and he can, operate like that. But when it breaks down, there's going to be almost nobody better in the NFL than him. And it's just insane the amount of throws that he can make off platform, on platform. He's got the Aaron Rodgers flick of the wrist that goes 60, 70 yards. It's unbelievable the amount of talent he has.
Yeah, I know we broke him down earlier in the year, and he definitely. I walked away very impressed with Caleb Williams. Nick, would you hesitate if he happens to fall at number 2?
Not at all.
Okay.
I would be sprinting as fast as I possibly could. I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's one of the Bears at this point. But
exactly,
if there's any way that he falls to 2, yeah, I think that is a dream come true. The talent he has is just unbelievable. I know it's been a while, or we've gone pretty long here, so I'll just kind of let these clips play. A lot of them is just kind of just the crazy arm talent. And we're going to start with a 65-yard throw here. So it's unbelievable the amount of throws that he can make on platform, off platform. I mean, look at where he's throwing this from.
Yeah, that's the famous one. Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievable. And there's very little effort here too, which is so weird. He's not taking 2, 3 steps. He's just one step and fires it perfectly. It's just, yeah, that again, can't teach that sort of stuff. So this play's perfect. This kind of shows you what he was working with the USC offense here. I've never seen this sort of concept before where, again, I don't know if something was messed up, but what they did essentially here is have these 2 guys run here and basically pick this guy for a screen this way. I think either these guys are wrong or, again, I don't know what the hell is happening here, but 4 and 2 both kind of stop here. I've never really seen that before. I mean, it worked, but that's the sort of stuff that he was dealing with. It's a very weird offense.
I think a penalty actually came out too later on the play. I don't know if you saw that at all.
Yeah, again, when you have 2 guys stop in the middle of the field to essentially set a screen like we're playing, yeah, he's holding him there. I mean, it's very weird stuff. And here you have, again, him changing the play. I don't even know what happens on this play, but you can see him change the play. He's got control protections and all that sort of stuff. So, he can play within that sort of structure and understands what's happening. And again, instant pressure, has to scramble. This is teach tape in terms of how you navigate a pocket under pressure. Instant pressure off the edge, through the fake, drift a little bit, but keep your hips square, step up, keep your hips square, climb the pocket, keep reading it out, and fire a perfect ball. I mean,
it's fantastic.
It doesn't really get any better than this in terms of navigating a tough pocket. Feel that pressure, step up, eyes up the whole time.
His eyes were up the whole time. It was impressive.
It's perfect stuff, basically. Skip through this one. This is more just, him playing within structure here. You got cover 1 here against, I think, Stanford. Just read it out, get to the backside, hitching on time with the pressure. He can do it. It's not a problem. He almost had to kind of live in that, area of constantly scrambling and whatnot. But this is another good example of him playing in structure. They're playing Colorado here. Rotate to a Tampa 2. We talked about it a bunch of times. Usually you're going to have this whole defender run up the pole. He doesn't. So he's reading this guy the whole time. Second he flattens out, watch him quickly trigger
and
fire the seam right behind him. It's an effortless sort of delivery, and it's so quick. So he can be a little bit late if he wants because his trigger is so quickly. And he sees that guy flatten out, and it's just effortless. Perfect throw.
Great touch.
Again, changing the protection, changing the play, sets it up. You can see him, again, play action here, play action power. Understand where the pressure's coming from, climb the pocket, keep reading it, and hit your dig. It's perfect stuff. He's not always going to live, out of structure. He can play within structure, and then he can play out of structure, like this one. And this is sort of play is where he's so good at setting up rushers. You can kind of see him bait number 8 there and just kind of hesitate a little bit, and then the arm talent, which...
That's an Aaron Rodgers-esque play right there, 100%.
This throw is ridiculous. I can't even put into words how you're rolling to the left, and to throw like that.
Jeez. Perfect
accuracy. I mean, you can talk about whatever you want about Caleb Williams, but his talent is absolutely out of this world good. It's unbelievable. You cannot coach this. There's a reason he's been talked about as the number 1 quarterback for what seems like 5 years now. And again, this is the kind of stuff you're working with on offense where you got really nothing open. Again, these two wide receivers down here are just blocking. He's not open. Nothing's open. So Caleb, save us. And that's basically what they kind of had to live out of.
Is he much of a runner, Nick? I haven't really tracked that or kept up with that at all.
Yeah, I mean,
he can run, but
he doesn't take off to scramble as often in terms of like just pure running like this. He's always looking downfield to make a throw. Always. And,
which is the ideal. Which you want.
And he's not going to break 60, 70-yard runs like Jane Daniels, but he's going to constantly look downfield and find someone open. All right, we did finally get to the bat here of Caleb Williams. Again, when you live in an area of playing out of structure and trying to constantly make people miss, you're going to get sacked. And that was a problem. You know, for me, I would like for him to understand that this is a zero blitz, sees that it's coming, just hit the pivot route, just throw this right now. There's no reason to kind of try to make a hero play. Well, I guess there is because they were probably losing at this point, but he just takes the sack and takes him out of field goal range on third down. So this is the type of play that you're going to point to if you're a Caleb Williams hater, basically.
There aren't much of those, though. You don't really see many Caleb Williams.
You just got to trust it. Just throw it sometimes. Like I understand he has to constantly try to make the hero plays, but on that one, just kind of trust it. And we'll end with this one because this is unbelievable, but it doesn't translate at all to the NFL. You got a corner blitz. He knows it's coming. He knows he can make him miss. He's got no chance. So sets it up, stiff arms him, still looks up the field. And yeah, there's no real words for that one. Again, not translatable at all to the NFL. In the NFL, this corner is going to make that tackle, or at least you're going to have some other pressure. This isn't really going to translate, but it's
fun to watch.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Very fun to watch. So we'll end it there.
Yeah, so Nick, on that note, thank you for the awesome breakdown. I definitely learned a lot. I'm sure our viewers did too. And thank you for the 600 people that have been watching us. Nick, kind of bring it on home. Like, I guess, how would you view the overall quarterback class? Like, how does it pertain to the Commanders? Like, what are your thoughts on the whole breakdown?
Yeah. Again, like you talked about before, if Caleb is somehow at 2, you take that every single time. But again, I think we're living in a world where he's going to the Bears. And so you're looking at, in my mind, you're looking at Drake May or Jade Daniels or JJ McCarthy. I don't necessarily think he's going to fit too much of what Cliff did in Arizona. We don't know what that offense is going to look now. We have an idea. But I don't think he really fits that. There was not a lot of under center, heavy play action stuff that Cliff did. So I don't necessarily see that fit as much. I could be completely wrong. Mark's probably going to say I'm wrong there. But yeah, and then it just, to me, it kind of comes down between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. And I think if you're looking at them right now as prospects, I think you would lean Jaden Daniels. But again, what Drake May is doing at 21 years old compared to Jaden Daniels, who's 24, I think. And you have to project that out. You have to, understand that with thousands of less dropbacks, you have to project what Drake May can be. And with the current talent he has and what he showed these past couple of years, the ceiling is, he's got all the potential in the world. And then it comes down to coaching. And if you trust your coaching staff to kind of, help him iron out some of those, those minor details that he's kind of struggling with right now, I think the sky is the limit. And it kind of, again, I talk about Herbert again, but it kind of reminds me a lot of the Tua and Herbert stuff where, Tua was the more pro-ready prospect, it seemed like, basically just looking at the tape. There was a lot of some raw stuff with Justin Herbert, but the talent was off the charts. And he stepped in right away. They didn't want him to, but he stepped in right away from injury and was incredible. And you can see his processing skills. And so I think of that a lot right now. I think in my mind, if you pass on Drake May, I think you regret it for basically the rest of your existence. Again, a lot of this, for all of this, comes down to coaching afterwards, and the system that they're put in helps immensely. Patrick Mahomes is not Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid, and
absolutely.
Same thing with all of these guys. And it's going to come down to coaching, and that's kind of my way of saying that I can't possibly be wrong. If it's me, I'm taking Drake May, but if they go with Daniels, I'm not going to be upset. I think there's enough there to really like.
I think Washington's in a great situation, and I think you painted the picture perfectly, right? Do you want a more refined product right now in Jaden Daniels, who has high upside as potentially as a runner, or do you want to project and have that prototype type of quarterback, 6'4", 230 pounds, Drake May with velocity you can build around? So it's definitely interesting, and we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks.
I think again, like I said, 2-3 years ago, I think I'm going Daniels all the way. It's too scary for Drake May, but the potential is there for him to be a top 5, top 3 quarterback in the NFL. It's absolutely insane what he's doing at this age. So I think you roll the dice on that. I think you have to.
Absolutely. All right, Nick, thanks again for that. I appreciate it. Everyone else that's watching on Twitch and Twitter and on YouTube, I appreciate that as well. Give us a like and subscribe. Follow me and Nick. If you guys have any updates or any feedback for us for next week, you want to talk about who you want us to break down on the film, please let us know. Other than that, have a great night. Peace.